Good evening. Tonight we're here to talk about a very serious subject, and that is the safety of our students and children in Alleghany County. We met with our parents about a week and a half ago, about 15 sets of parents, to find out what do they know about school safety. And what we found out, that they're not sure exactly what we do for school safety, and so we want to explain tonight and take that opportunity to let everybody know that we do take safety seriously in what we're doing. We have a county-wide school safety committee that oversees our safety throughout the division. They meet about 4 times a year. They review all our safety protocols. They work very closely. As part of that committee, we have a variety of community members, including the Sheriff's Office. And the Sheriff's Office and their members are very active with the committee as far as ensuring our students stay safe. In the near future, we're going to upgrade the entrances at 4 of our buildings. We have already upgraded the entrance at Callahan Elementary School, and the other 4 buildings will be done. We were originally going to start them in the summer, but as soon as we can get the contracts out, we will start working on those immediately. We have 2 school resource officers currently in our buildings. We want to thank both the school board and the Alleghany County Board of Supervisors for reaching out to provide us enough funding for the rest of this year to provide school resource officers at all of our buildings. And I want to thank Chief Deputy Bowser for working with us to provide that support until we have the opportunity to hire 3 more school resource officers. The plan moving ahead is to, and I also want to thank County Administrator John Lanford for working with us as well. But the plan as we are moving ahead will be to hire 3 more permanent school resource officers so that all our schools will have a full-time school resource officer. The Sheriff's Office will work during the summer to hire and train those deputies as well. We look forward to working on that. We have a threat assessment process in place that's very detailed so that if we find a student has made a threat towards another student or towards buildings, that we follow a very specific threat assessment process that came from the University of Virginia several years ago. Each school has a school safety team that they review safety in the buildings throughout the year. Each school has a safety plan, and which covers many items besides threats, tornadoes, other earthquakes, and different things that can happen. We have a variety of drills that we practice as required by law, and additional drills that we do related to fire safety, tornadoes, earthquakes, and obviously lockdowns in case we have something that horrible occur. We also have a master school crisis readiness plan that Mr. Vaughn oversees to make sure that's updated for our entire county. We work together very closely to identify students who may be at risk. If that's the case, then we have what we call wraparound services that will work with students to get them to beyond those immediate risks. So we do take student safety seriously. They're our kids, and therefore we're going to do what we need to do to make sure and ensure that they are safe. Yes, sir.
Thank you. I'd just like to echo Mr. Kotulka's comments, and we at the Sheriff's Office take the student safety very seriously. It's our #1 priority. That's why we have the 2 school resource officers, and we have DARE in the school right now. So we're going to be working diligently here in the very near future to start the hiring process to as soon as we're able to. And both boards, the Board of Supervisors and the school board, have been they've been working with it very closely with us to get this process moving just as quickly as possible. So as soon as we're able to, we're going to start doing background checks and advertising and trying to get the very best qualified school resource officers in the elementary schools that don't have one currently. But we appreciate with the past month or so, it's been very taxing and stressing on all the law enforcement agencies. And I just want to thank all of our local partners, including the school board and the school administration, the school staffs. Anybody we've worked with, they've all been very helpful and friendly. I see First Sergeant with State Police back here. I called him, and he he read my mind before I even asked. So he volunteered to send some troopers down at the school's entrances when the buses are being unloaded and dropped off. So we're very lucky here in this county and in this region to have such a close working relationship with all of our agencies and boards. And thank you.
And I would echo the comments by Colonel Bowser. We do work together as a team. There's a lot of thought and a lot of effort put behind this to make sure our students maintain safe. I want to encourage our parents and community, if you hear of something that may be happening, please notify us immediately. Don't wait till the next day. If we're not in school, you can contact the sheriff's office and they would immediately get a hold of us. I always think this is a three-pronged approach. The first is I do think that we have to do something with weapons. What the answer to that is, it's a community and obviously a national issue. And I'm not advocating necessarily, gun control, but I do recognize that is an issue that we have to deal with in our communities. We also have to be willing to identify students and others and parents, other people in the community that may be at risk for some mental behaviors. We have to work together and identify those students and or young adults, and we have to provide the services to help them through their crisis. And so the third prong that I like to talk about is mental health services. And so I encourage you all of you to promote those three and speak to our legislators to ensure that we're funded properly and we have the programs in place to protect our students and our children in school. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. At this point, we will begin with questions and ideas that have been generated by the audience. Again, if you are here in Forum Hall, please provide your questions or ideas to Ms. Lauren Vest. And if you are watching via streaming, please send your comments in via your feed. First question, gentlemen. We've heard much conversation about metal detectors and arming staff. Will we consider this?
Well, we have a Safe Schools Committee that all ideas get sent to, and that Safe School Committee will evaluate any and all ideas that we come up with to determine things are safe. When it comes to arming staff, our current laws prohibit us arming staff. And so the law that was passed last year by the General Assembly and signed by the governor would allow us to hire school safety officers. Those school safety officers then would have to be trained by law enforcement and obviously go through all the training prior to. I know of one division possibly doing that next year. That would be Culpeper School Division, may be doing that as well. That's all I know right now. But currently our legislation, our laws do not allow us to arm the staff in buildings.
What are potential penalties for students making threats?
When students come into our buildings, they are given a student handbook. They take home, goes over all the rules that we follow and regulations, legal issues, school board policies, and laws as well. A student that makes a threat to another student, and particularly to a building, will be recommended for expulsion from the schools. And at that time, we will also recommend to repay restitution for the amount of time that administrators and other staff have to put in to follow those leads. A good example is this, when we worked on the two previous cases, most of our administrative team at the central office plus the building principals, administrators at the high school worked just about every night till about 11 o'clock, way past the hours that they need to work. And so at that point we would ask that the court system, when it goes to provide restitution for the school division. So it's very serious to make those threats towards other students or the school.
And I'd also like to add that, Mr. Kotulka spoke on what would happen to you administratively through the school. You'd be recommended for expulsion. But you're also going to be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. And depending on the nature of the threat, it could be a felony, and depending on the age of the student, that criminal record could follow you for the rest of your life, and it could affect your future. And we're going to take every threat seriously and act on that accordingly.
All right. We have many activities in our school weekends outside of school hours. oftentimes during these times, the doors are unlocked. Should we, or are we going to consider having staff or an employee there to monitor?
Generally in the evenings when we allow the buildings to go out to Parks and Rec or different organizations, what we do is then we check the buildings in the morning to make sure that everything is secure. So at this time, there's no plan to have staff at those events as well. And so, but we'll continue to monitor and work together. And that certainly can be a discussion that we can forward to the school safety committee as well.
Has any consideration been given to an anonymous tip line, particularly at the high school and middle school, allow students an opportunity to comfortably report concerns or threats?
Yes, we currently have on our web page is a bullying link. So where somebody wants to report bullying, we can do that. We are also considering adding any type of report hotline to report.
And the sheriff's office also takes calls anonymously, and we treat your privacy very seriously. So if someone has some information that they think is important, if they feel uncomfortable leaving their name, they can report that anonymously.
The thing about that is, I want everybody to know that if a tip is reported, again, no matter how small you think it is, I urge you to report it, then we are going to investigate it until we find out whether there's a possibility or not a possibility that's going to happen. So no threat should be left unreported, no matter how small or insignificant you may think that is. There's a lot of research out there with the school shootings over the years that the best way to prevent the school shootings is being proactive by reporting any and all, any and all tips that we know that they can be investigated all the way through.
We have an idea here to consider solid doors as opposed to glass doors. At this point, we're still looking for other questions from the community, either here this evening or via online feeds.
I would say about the solid doors, again, I would take that to our Safe Schools Committee. I want our students to be as safe as they can be, but be into a building that is not a horrible place to be. We want our students to be in a place that's academically oriented, where students have an opportunity to come in and learn and have some fun. So we would need to maintain the balance with our safety in there, and I'm not sure, would we close all windows? Would we take all the windows out? And would we block all doors? And so I would say off the top of my head, I don't know if I would favor something like that. Do I think we need to maintain good security at the doors at times? Yes. And I think we are working towards that by changing the entrances at our 4 other buildings.
And our resource officers, they do rounds regularly, and they check all the exterior doors to make sure that one's not propped open or closed completely. So they're very diligent in making sure that all the doors are locked.
And I agree with Colonel Bowser. We have the best resource officers that I've ever worked with in the years I have been in education. They are dedicated to their position. It is not just a stepping stone into the sheriff's office. They are truly dedicated to being school resource officers, and they do a great job. They get to know the kids, they listen, they work with kids, and it's just exciting to have such dedicated people as we currently have.
School safety is a national issue, as well as locally, of course. Bullying, also a national and local issue. What has our school division taken on to address bullying?
We have character education program in all our schools that address bullying. The key in bullying is to report it if it's done, if it happens. Again, this is one of the important things, that if a student or a parent feels that their child is bullying, please report that immediately. What I guarantee is this, is that we will investigate each and every case. And our administrators have an obligation to get back to the child and to the parent to say, it either happened, it was bullying, or it wasn't bullying, or maybe we didn't have enough information. I take bullying, cases of bullying that we know that happen seriously, and over the years I've recommended long-term suspension on bullying. There's no toleration for bullying. Now, with that being said, the administrators at times have to differentiate between bullying and teasing. And so, you know, the definition of bullying happens over an extended period of time, numerous times. And so that's what we work on, and our administrators do a good job. But again, I encourage you to report bullying. Don't allow it. I know as a parent, I have 4 youngins that are no longer that young, but I have 2 boys and 2 girls, and they would bring things home to me, and I would ask them to work it out at first, but if you pay attention at home and they bring something back to you a second or third time, then you as the parent need to step up. We need to partner with you, all of us, with the sheriff's office and with parents. It's not a you versus us or we and they. It is all of us working together as a team. Our schools are representative of the community, and so we have to work together to provide the best learning opportunities and environments for our students.